Power of Empower. So glad and honored and blessed to have my two co hosts with me today. Everybody knows Leslie Flowers and Catherine Chadwick. They've been on many times. It seems to be pretty harmonious, and Leslie's just, a ball of fire when she gets on. And Catherine's just really full of hope and optimism and joy. So how can you beat that combination? Chat's open. We value your direction, makes us more relevant, hopefully provide some quality takeaways. Again, with that said, I'll turn it over to Leslie. She can give her little quick update onto where she is from where she was last time you saw her, and a little bit about her take on abundance. Leslie?
Okay. Well, so good morning, everybody. So glad you're here. Thank you for investing time. Time is one thing that doesn't tolerate indecision. You don't get it back. So being here and investing your time says that you're looking for value, and that's our intention to give you value. My work is the same as the last time I was here. Really what I've been able to do over the last 15 years is develop a hybrid process that actually marks down the actual steps to set and achieve a 90-day goal every time. So it's a process that once you learn it, you repeat it yourself. You believe in it, and there's no more haphazard or sporadic results because those results still let you worry about money, right? But if you know you're going to achieve your goal in the high 90% every time, then poverty goes away. Your ability to do things that you've never done before grows. You kind of surprise yourself that you're good at doing stuff you never tried before. And it also builds confidence. As far as abundance goes, we do have the choice to choose thoughts of abundance, but we don't have so much choice to manage thoughts of poverty. So they're the opposite sides of the coin. Poverty is what most all of us believe, unless we are in the less than one half of one, like it's a minuscule amount of people that are born into wealth. So they never hear, we can't afford it. Wait till your brother gets this. We're waiting for taxes. You never hear that, right? So therefore, you don't have a belief that there isn't enough for you. But probably, 99 point whatever percent of us have heard those things over and over and over again. Therefore, our belief is that there isn't enough, that we're coming from poverty. There isn't enough for everybody else. But you can learn to create a new belief in yourself and in your ability and deservability that proves that abundance is available for you. And so it's really about, what are you thinking about the most? Are you worried the most about money, or are you grateful the most because of all the abundance in your life?
Good start. Very good, Leslie. And
Thank you.
with that, I'll turn it over to Catherine and she can give her early take.
Well, abundance is so fun, right? And so I agree with you, Leslie, that most people do not hear about abundance growing up, that it's more coming from a lack mentality
Mhm.
and not having the choice, right?
Mhm.
And not really understanding about intention.
Mhm.
So I very much work with people to teach them to look at their existence, their choices, and their experience from an energetic level, right? And it does take some of that emotions out of it, because if you're looking at your life and going, oh, goodness, I'm down in these lower vibrations, and but not getting caught up in the emotion of, oh, well, how did I get here and why did I get here and all of that, right? But being able to, increase, what step can I take, what thought can I think to take me a little bit further up on the vibrational scale. And it's interesting, we both work with people to bring them to a more abundant mindset. Yours more on the financial side, the money side, and for me it's more about health, right? Because we do have abundance of health available to us. because the research shows that over 90% of health conditions and illnesses are lifestyle induced. Okay, so let's learn about changing some of these lifestyle actions and activities to increase our health. You can change the whole vibration of your existence. You know, you can change your biology through your thought process. And it's important to understand these things because when you're in good health, it's all the better to enjoy the money you're going to have too. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and as you two were sharing, I thought to myself, we're talking about a word like we do every day, but what makes up this word to qualify it as being a value of abundance? So if one was to say, when do I believe I'm abundant? How does everybody take into consideration all the valuable benefits of their life? Right? Is it money, or is it money plus relationships plus family plus health? And one can say, as long as I'm healthy, I don't care about the money. That's an easy something to say because you can get a lot more of it, and it's more than you'll ever need if you believe that. But it's the priorities that make you feel abundant that are being achieved, right? And then
Absolutely. It's health, wealth, and happiness. So you don't give up. Oh, long hair. You don't give up. You don't give up health and happiness for wealth. The idea here is that with the choices about what you're thinking about the most over time will eventually be your result. So you can be wealthy, happy, and healthy at the same time. You
Oh, yeah.
can live right. I mean, that is where we're headed. I use poverty as an example because everybody knows that feeling. But if, we're really only here. If you think about it, the future things we want, we don't really go there. They actually come to us. So we're always in a state of presence. And to Catherine's point, the way you feel about life, gratitude and abundance is not just money. It's abundance in thought, in soul, in health, in heart. And every one of those things, if you can teach yourself to choose those thoughts over the negative ones when you catch it, you are boosting your cellular vibration. The highest vibration is our natural state, and that's the one that heals us. The lowest vibration, when you're feeling awful and days, I mean, I can remember, excuse me, during the 30 years I was married, there were days when I'd be angry and not talk to my husband for 3 days, telling myself that he was wrong. I was right. I was sure I was right. And I was I believed it. What I didn't realize is that what I was doing to myself was moving my body into dis-ease. And how it shows up is different ways. So you can be all three, but you are going to have to want to do it, be ready to do it. Not everybody's ready at the same time. So there is no right time. Only when you say, okay, I'm enough with this negative thinking. There's got to be another way. And when you reach that point, find yourself someone that knows how to do these things, like Catherine or myself or anybody that that is expert, and invest time and money with them, because you can continue frittering around and doing this and picking up tips and tools and all that, but it's a time waster. And as you get older, as I've gotten older, time goes by much faster. Have you noticed? So abundance, it's abundance in many areas of your life, not only money. Are you grateful for what you have, that you're alive, that you're healthy, that you have a place to live? And if you don't, that you have friends that can support you. So there.
Well, and I think when you look at abundance, it's how do you maintain that state of abundance? Because
That's right.
your bank balance will go up and down, your friends will come and go, and what you have to do is be able to redirect what isn't serving you to what is. And
Yes.
if you lose something, maybe music takes the spot, maybe nature takes the spot for a while, and you say collectively, I'm feeling complete, abundant, hopeful, excited, because you're creating your own environment, to Leslie's point, with demonstrating how you feel to someone who made you feel. It takes you exactly where they are because you're responding to them instead of to yourself,
Mm.
right? And instead of inclusion, exclusion should take place, right? I'm not going to deal with this or you, right? As opposed to I'm going to punish something, because even punishment takes energy and thought. And when you're done with it, you feel awful anyway. So before I go to Catherine, let's share all these wonderful people, because that's what makes the show. Omar's here. Omar's just a great guy doing more great things. What I found with Leslie and Catherine and so many other people who come on here, they're always eager to get into the next initiative. They're always eager to turn the page, see what's around the corner. I think that's what the result of feeling abundant is I got this covered. I'm going to take more. I can handle what I got. I can use another level of not challenge, but involvement. And
We're very selective, though, correct?
Yes.
Catherine, we're very, very selective.
For sure. We'll go, but let me get to everybody,
Yes,
or I
please.
never get to everybody. Okay, this is,
Oh, jeez.
did you hear about
It's got to be Kevin.
No, it's
Oh, Carrie.
Carrie.
Okay.
We got a joke of the day. Do you hear about the martial artists who fought on the beach? They faced off in sand-to-sand combat. So it's always, and then we can bring ourselves to our poet
Oh,
laureate.
here's-
Lots of fun today. Good time to learn and earn. If poverty goes away, positivity shows up abundantly. Great and energetic start. Thanks for teaching us the importance of great vibes. Harvey's here. Harvey's one of the best. Well, this looks like an abundance of lovely people. Can't wait to have you back on, Harvey. Linda's here. Yes, Don, not letting someone to change your mood or mindset. You're the master of you. When everything else is going wrong, you've got an opportunity to make things right. Don't wait, create. So with that, Catherine, you got a great intro from what we've just said. Take it away.
Well, I want to expand a little bit on something that Leslie pointed out, because we don't all evolve at the same rate or the same time, right? So when it's time for you, that's the time to really evaluate and become intentional, because an intentional gratitude practice absolutely raises your vibration, right? And can help move you along. The other thing that's interesting about that too, in relationships and whatnot, the perspective on things, right? Because abundance to one person doesn't mean quite the same thing to another person. So I remember with my ex-husband in one of our conversations as we were parting ways, I just said, oh my gosh, there's just so much more to my life than just helping you live yours. And he said, yeah. And he says, you know what? You're all about the experience and I'm all about the stuff. And I'm like, well, okay, we each have an abundant mindset, but in different areas, right? So
Well, I think abundance comes with identification of potential scarcity, right?
Yeah.
When you know there's nothing left in the tank here, what used to be is gone or will never come back.
Yeah.
And that changes everything. So it's not about you changing it, it's you responding to what you believe the change is moving towards. And everything is about where you're going to be, right? It's no big science to figure out where you're at, even though that's a challenge for a lot of people. But the next step is, where am I going to go tomorrow? What am I going to do? Why do I take this first, And I think that's the magic of it is, now I've gotten to the point where even when people cancel appointment, I'm thankful for the hour back, because I've got so much to do and I've got so many things that I'm interested in, people I'm involved with, because that helps me move. and move forward. And I think that's the key to abundance, is not just getting it bigger, getting it more comfortable. Too many people look at things quantitatively. I got 100 grand, now I need 150 grand. What is 50 grand? It's not monopoly money. Who cares? It's like, when did you take a vacation? Maybe now that should be the thing. Or when did you take care of somebody you were talking about? And all of a sudden you get variety. And I think too many people get too focused on one thing and get out of balance, right? And then things change. Leslie, what's your thoughts?
I was thinking about what Catherine said about perspective, and what is abundance to you and me. It's all different, just like our perspective, and it's relative to each of us. So one of the things that hurts my ears, that I cannot stand, is if someone says, you should do this. Really? So I should give up my values and my beliefs and adopt yours? So when I realized that everybody's view is correct from their perspective, then I started to say, well, have you ever considered X, Y, or Z? Then the person has the opportunity to adopt something or not. And the other thing about perspective, it changes with everything new you learn. So this business of arguing about who's right or wrong, imagine a world where you don't argue about who's right or wrong, because everybody's right and everybody's wrong at the same time. Well, then what's the next step? It's not about me convincing you that you should do this. In fact, I tell my clients, that's probably why I don't have a lot of clients, right? And I'm okay with it. Less is good. Is you don't need my work. No one needs my work. You're perfect as you are. You have to get to the place where you want what I've developed to save time, because there's got to be a better way. And what Catherine reiterated is that, we don't actually know exactly when we'll be ready. We ought to be a little scared too. So when you get to that point where, okay, I'm tired of taking workshops, I'm tired of bumping around this tool, that tool, all these notes and everything, it's time to start to implement, right? Because through implementation of all the things you've learned, you can influence. That's the best you can do to control anything, is to influence, because you can only control what you think and how often and how long you think it, to Donald's point, which is it has to be sustainable. So this is more of a practice. If I catch myself thinking negative, if I do, then I have the choice to find its polar opposite and think about that. If I don't have enough money in my bank account, I just say to myself, I'm so happy and grateful that money comes to me from all different sources. And it does. And it feels better. And I want to feel good. So it can be done. It takes a little time, but only when you want it and you're ready and you're a little bit scared. That's what I would say.
Well, to that point, I believe orientation makes so much difference. Mm-hmm. Where you're from, what you've been accustomed to, and how does that apply to you personally, professionally? And looking back, I don't even know what clients are, because when I worked for my own companies. I was always the controlling partner. So I could do whatever I wanted as long as it kept me in business, right? And I never had to engage people to help me, support me. But I could include a lot of people and support major groups of people. So looking at this, it's a matter of investing in yourself and not finding somebody you can invest in, right? So too many people are chasing people to get money to do something. It's like a convoluted approach. If you do something of value and include people, now you're collaborators, right? Now you're team members. You're not I'm trading time for money. Obligations, responsibilities are inferred. It really is constrain your growth, right? When depending on who you're working with, how you're working with them, because of the energy.
Mhm.
Are they taking more than knowledge? Are they taking your spirit, right? When you get done with them. And I think that's where you got to be really protective because, you wake up every day, I know I'm going on, and you want to be as good as you can, right? You want to look as good as you can, feel as good as you can, be as good as you can. And everything along the way is either a tailwind or a headwind to it, right? This has given me a lift being in this group or talking with these people. And this is definitely a headwind I need to steer clear of. So I think it's orientation of what have you been used to.
Well, isn't that context sort of? Is that
For sure, but it's like, hey, I've done this 30 years. It's perfect. Every day I wake up feeling great. Why wouldn't I want to just expand it?
right? Absolutely.
Instead of reposition myself over there that doesn't feed this. Right? So everything should feed your primary interest. If that's a client, it should satisfy all of your priorities, right? How does this make me feel emotionally, physically, mentally, optimistically? That should be, should I accept this person? Not how much can you pay? What do you need? I'll get it. I can do it, because all you're doing is slicing a piece of you away from you. And again, that's just orientation. If you're always used to depending on something, your orientation is always going to be on that dependency, right? If you get that paycheck every 2 weeks and you never worry about paying your bills as long as you keep your job, all of a sudden you're going to think somebody else has to take the place of that job, of that paycheck, right? Now you got to include another person or persons when you had it all within yourself to create your own opportunity. And there's so many people work harder for strangers than they do for themselves when they're on their own, because they have to. And I think that's part of it. So let me, we got Natalie here. We got all our old favorites. Catherine's going to get special time now because me and Leslie have been
You have been dominating
I'm
the
aware of that, so I
conversation.
try. Abundance is a great word. I'm hearing you. Open up to growth, not only money. Harvey comes back with Catherine Chadwick, like that an abundant mindset, an abundance of perspectives, ideas, and collaborations. And from abundance comes selection, open arms with a careful heart. I mean, Harvey spent so much time and thought with his props, with his insights, with the way he shares it. I mean, that is an abundant method of reflection of who the person is. Beverly, who is just the greatest. There can be two rights. Absolutely, Leslie. There can be 4 rights.
There are millions. There are as many rights as there are people.
Take it away, Leslie.
No, Catherine, you take it away.
Okay, good morning. Abundance is not a gift to be hoarded, but a privilege to be cherished and shared. Beverly, when you invest in yourself, you will find abundance guaranteed. That you always know to go to the source then. Right? If you have to be the first one, and you should, I wouldn't sell anything I didn't use or buy. Right? Why is it good enough for someone and not good enough for me? And that's where I think people lose abundance, is the competitive ego. Who's got what? Where do I fit with them? But you're looking at a small circle relative to a major universe. And I think that's so many people end up majoring into minors, right? And you're never going to get too far there. Christine says, I start my day every day. I love Leslie when she laughs. I start my day every day with positive people, whether it's a support group or my church. I start every morning with like-minded people on the path to growth. Why not? If you found a fly in your soup, you wouldn't eat it, right? You'd pluck it out. It's a same.
It depends.
Well, I guess it depends on how you seasoned it. Hello, Beverly. Great to see you, Natalie. Beverly. Okay, we got caught up. Catherine, me and Leslie are going to admire what you have to say.
Well, to distill some of this down, it all comes to, developing ourselves, right? And learning to live from the inside out, because when you're doing that, your vibration is very high, and you can't help but come from a place of abundance. And being that generous role model, and being that influence, as you're talking about, Leslie. And you absolutely are so much more committed to making decisions that serve yourself, right? And when I make a decision that serves me, and I intentionally create the next step, it's important to have those things in mind, because as we've all mentioned, we don't get the time back. And so I would like to bring up the point of really investing not only in yourself, but in your calendar too, right? Who you're going to spend the time with. What time are you going to spend on, whatever it is that you're going to do, and to avoid being distracted by all of the inundation of, the stimuli that comes to us. I mean, it's so easy to get batted around by all of the circumstances, and that doesn't serve us. And so I like to think of the calendar kind of like a water hose, right? The calendar directs the time as to what you want to nourish, what you want to feed, just like the hose directs the water as to what you want to water in your garden. And with a couple of the programs that I'm working on with kids, your mind is like a garden. And what thought seeds are you planting? And so if we didn't grow up with an abundance conversation going on around us, we have the choice, as you say, what thoughts are we going to entertain? And we have the choice to make a thought change and plant new thought seeds. And let's do that, right?
Well, it sounds so hopeful, and I think that's what abundance really relies on, is the hope you have, the genuine feeling of tomorrow being a better day than today, or the possibility of it. If this was to happen, then it would be a great day, right? If somebody would come to visit, or something would go on sale, whatever it is that's people's priority that says, hey, this is a winner. And I think winning and abundance go right together. And again, it's not too many people, they look at money because it's so easy to count. It's so easy to distinguish a $5 bill from a $20 bill. You would never change the two for each other and not feel bad, right? Even though what's $15? People order an appetizer, they forget what it was when they left the restaurant. But that's the qualifications piece, because they don't want to be taken advantage of. Right? So they come from scarcity because they begin relationships with distrust, skepticism, right? They're on guard. They're going to defend themselves against an evil that they may not know exists, but it's possible. But why not start with, I believe in everybody until someone gives me any reason not to, right? And it could be the first word. It could be the first glimpse that says, okay, now I'm on guard, right? The way this person shows up. But until that first element of connection, it's like, yeah, I think everybody's great until they're not, right? And it's easy and better to do that, because how many times have you been wrong? And it's too late to go back until you heard somebody that got a flat tire. Yeah, I can see why you're half hour late. Can't see why you didn't call or text, but I mean, but that's the thing. That's the fun of it. And when do you got to ease up? When do you got to say, this is too tight a filter, nothing's getting through here, right? I'm disqualifying everybody too easily, as opposed to the other extreme where everybody just gets an open door and they get to do whatever they want, until they get done. So, Catherine, back to you one more time.
Yes, please.
Well, what's interesting, what you're talking about, is the folks that are on the defensive from the get-go are living in a lower vibrational area, right? And what's fascinating about that is you never get what you want unless you want more of that, right? Because that's what you're going to get. But you just don't get what you want when you're living in those lower vibrations.
Mhm.
And being grateful and being open, and opens up so many more possibilities. And when you're in those higher vibrations, then of course you're going to meet way more fun people that are also living in that arena too, and look at the possibilities that can come from that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's an excellent point. Excellent point. Beverly makes a great comment here. Excellent, Catherine. It all starts from within, and you need to set boundaries with your time and energy. And time is so important. Is how much time do you give yourself before you have to make a judgment?
Mhm.
Do you have to get it all figured out as soon as you meet somebody? You don't even know when you meet somebody if you're ever going to see them again. But over time,
Mhm.
they keep showing up, they keep sharing who they are. It's easier to put a puzzle together then than, you got 10 seconds to figure this out. And a lot of, the game, like I say, is always between you and yourself. You're the one who puts the time pressure. You're the one that has the shame and embarrassment when something doesn't work out or isn't working out, versus change the channel. If you were watching a great show and then some awful show came on, you wouldn't think twice about flipping the channel. But you'll stay in a crummy show in a program for a longer period of time because it's a person involved, and it's you involved. Yes, Catherine, I love this idea of teaching children these techniques about positive self-talk tracks. I noticed in particular one of my daughters has been over negative and moody, but perhaps it's just a side effect of being almost 12 and in puberty. Possibly, and that's the beauty of everything. You never know what you don't know. You never know what you're going to know. I'm reading 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman, a book that urges us to recognize time's limits and prioritize what's truly important. You know what's really important, and Leslie will tell you soon,
Yeah.
is
If I could get a word in.
to do it now. I'm going to give you my extra word.
Well, I kind of wanted to address this and what Beverly said, and primarily what Catherine said. One of the things that I learned early on with my clients is that this lack of abundance, which is pretty well natural to all of us, all these things that we're talking about, the reason that we know these things is because we've spent a lifetime developing it. So we are pretty good at this. But I will tell you that it takes time. This takes time. So you really want to find the elements that appeal to you and work on that for a while until it feels right, and you will do it all the time. Now, what I was going to share is that I discovered 15 years ago when I was with my clients that they were taking on every client. Oh, they had their calendar filled up and I got to have the money, etc. Well, one of my clients was a very successful coach and trainer, and she had this same problem. So it doesn't matter, where you are. You can have this old belief that I got to take on every client because I have to have the money because you've been that way your whole life. So the very first thing we did was determined who was her ideal client and what time of the day she preferred to see clients. And I created a thing called Task Crusher, which is more about setting your calendar up on your values, not about money, etc. And she spent 12 weeks. Well, we worked on this to square away her calendar so that she could say, no, my opening is at this time. Entrepreneurs aren't used to that. We need money. We want money. Well, we need it, right? It's not like working in corporate. So the way you spend your time matters. Now, I will tell you that pre-COVID, I stopped going to a lot of networking activities face to face because what I realized was it took a half a day. Every time I went, and then there were all these networking opportunities. Oh, yes, I went and tried them all out. And then I thought, wait a minute, it's killing half a day every week to go to this one thing. So I cut that out. So then when COVID came, I was cool, right? Because I wasn't going to any of those things. And I really got to see how much time I frittered away. It really does take a half hour every week to go to a networking event. If you're getting ready, you're driving there, you're meeting and greeting. Sometimes you'll have a one-on-one afterwards. And when you get home finally, you do the follow-up, right? So it's at least 4 hours. It's half a day. So if you can determine exactly how many clients you want and which days you'll see them, then you also put in church, if you go to church, plays, hospice, all the other areas of your life, things of high value that you don't want to give up. Those go in your calendar. And only a certain block that you like, right, that you will do Tuesday and Thursday morning for clients.
Mhm.
And then you have to learn when a client calls or a potential client calls and says, I really like to talk to you, unless it's an emergency, to say, well, I don't have any openings today, but I do have 2 tomorrow. Whereas I used to say, sure, let's go, right? Because I'm thinking, well, this will translate into a client and a paying customer.
Mhm.
The ability to say no based on your values actually takes something. It took something for me to learn to do it and to be okay with it. And people are great. Give them 2 choices. They'll usually pick one. And if it doesn't work out, well, then you can be flexible. But if you give them, I learned this as a secretary, give them the 2 choices that work for you rather than, well, when can you come in? Well, when are you ready right now?
Mhm.
Right. So it's a practice. And I'm glad you brought it up, Catherine, because you schedule your days the way you want to. Don't have the mindset, or prefer not to have the mindset, that you need money, more that you appreciate the result. And to your point about investing, Catherine, here's what I'll say about that. The amount that you invest, time and money, typically matches or exceeds your investment. So yes, sometimes you don't,
Absolutely.
but in most cases, when you invest time and money, your return is bigger,
Mhm.
right? It's bigger, at least matches, right? Or it's much bigger. Once you see that, then you're willing to step into a little bit of fear in a new area without knowing how,
Mhm.
because your intuition says, ooh, this is just right for me right now.
I
So
think
calendar.
I think what we're touching on, which I think is one of the most, maybe the important element of abundance, is time.
Yeah.
And how abundant is your time, and how abundant do you make your time? And I think, to Leslie's point, my facility was 10 minutes from home, right? But I would never do what I'm doing today if I had to get my car to go there, to go to work. And I would never get in my car at 10 o'clock at night to go back to do work. And usually your time is dictated by your environment. So if you're working from home, you have no environmental restraint on your time, because you can hit the keyboard anytime your thought presents itself, versus 1/3 of the day I'm at work, 1/3 of the day I'm with my family, and 1/3 of the day I'm sleeping, possibly. To really understand, why are you going to that place? How much time are you committing? Because you get all that water fountain talk, you get people bopping into your office, you got unnecessary meetings, then someone's got to eat, then someone's got to take a break, and then someone's got an issue. And by the time you get your work, maybe you got an hour and a half, and hopefully it hasn't been minimized by all the exposure from everybody else that shows up that day.
There's a really great level. Excuse me for interrupting. I just want to bring up Covey's 4 quadrants,
Yeah.
which were the Eisenhower 4 quadrants, and Covey popularized it. It's a really simple way of looking at what you really value. Very simple, right? You're either flying by the seat of your pants, not the way you want to do, like everything's an emergency.
Right.
There's a quadrant that says, this is important and I don't want it to wait to get to be an emergency. Then you've got another quadrant that says it's not important to you, but it's important to someone else. People calling you, people wanting your time. You don't have to answer right then. It's not important to you at that moment, right? So, and then you have a kind of a free-for-all quarter when you can do what you want. The thing is that to manage the things that you enjoy doing and that you have to do in the quadrant before it's an emergency, right? So you can leave the quadrant for the emergency open for true emergencies, or someone shows up from out of town and says, oh my God, I'm here at the airport for an hour and a half. Can you come have lunch? Yes, I can, because my calendar allows for that. So if you like this concept, look up Covey's 7 Habits and his 4 quadrants. Do you like that one, Catherine? You're familiar with that?
I am. I like it very much. And when you were talking about that, what comes to mind too is when you're talking about creating your calendar in line with your values, give yourself the time to really evaluate what your values are. Because they change, our perspectives change as we evolve. And so what was important to me last year isn't, right? And some of the things still are, but not everything, right? And so we do change. And I think it's important to give ourselves the time. And it's all part of, self-care, a requirement.
That balance that we're talking about.
Right. And the balance is always in motion. And so, because everything is always in motion, and this commercialized version of self-care is for the birds. It's really, yes, some of these things are nice, but most of them are just circumstantial. And it's not really developing self-care from the inside out.
Say more about that, please. About self-care from the inside out. I love that.
Well, because I believe that self-care is very much about self-development and really honoring what we're here for. Your purpose is a little bit different than mine. We do very similar things and we have fun learning about some of the same things, but your purpose is a little bit different than mine. And they're both to be honored. And Don's is different than both of ours. And, Harvey's is different and Natalie's is different, right? But all good-hearted, heart-centered, wonderful people. And we all require time to nurture that. And what supports that? And what are my intentions today? And what steps am I taking to honor that? To really be able to be the best role model and the best contributor, what I call a conscious contributor, to be the best version of myself that I can be. And talk about abundance from that vibrational standpoint. That's pretty terrific.
Yeah. Go ahead, Leslie.
Well, I was just going to say, Catherine, so I look at purpose a little differently because for me, it's simpler. All of our purposes are the same. They're to serve others. It's the vehicle we choose.
Exactly.
Right? So really, if you're a heart-centered servant, you're people first, money second. Now, there's a lot of people that will say, well, I'm people first and money second. But when push comes to shove, they really aren't. And you can't be both. You might slip up, right? But because you're not a robot. But the idea here is are you people first, money second, until push comes to shove and you've got a sale, right? And all of a sudden now you're money first and people second. So if our purpose, God's purpose, the universe's purpose, the thing that lights us up is to serve others in some capacity, then the only distinction between all of us, even though we do some similar things, but it's the same way as our view, which is unique to us. It's what vehicle. And we may not go through our life using the same vehicle to serve. I was a waitress when I was 17, and I was a damn good one. I remember getting a $5 tip for serving a parfait when I was 17. Now, that was back in the medieval ages. They actually did have parfaits at the time, right? So it was always doing the best you can in service to others. The byproduct is going to match or exceed that level of personal investment. So it just makes it easier for me. Yes, you and I, we get similar results
Yeah.
with a different process, but we're both serving people's personal growth. Do you like that?
Yeah, that's
I
very
do. I love that, and I'm really glad that you expanded on that
Thank
because,
you for
as
letting me.
you say, it's simpler, right?
Yeah, and for me, when I explain things, I do my very best to articulate it at a fourth or fifth grade level because I never know who's listening. Now, if you and I, Catherine, were talking separately, we'd be up in the college level. But because, not everybody is at the same level of learning to articulate as simply as possible so that many people can get that. Oh, I like that. I get that. I can do that. Then they can take an action. So that's where that came from, was to make it even simpler. But what you said was absolutely fabulous, as usual.
Isn't that great? It just shows how collectively, when you have an abundant mindset individually, how it really validates each other's, even
Oh,
though each other's is at a different time, place, and situation. What I'd like to include, because abundance is always so correlated with wealth of money or things you can see,
Mhm.
is me and my wife, we had cars until they were 12 years old and never had an interest in getting a new car because we liked our cars and they worked. And I only had to go 10 minutes to work. I could walk there, if the car broke down. So, but where I made sure, because I was so close to work, I never missed a birthday. I could leave work, be home, and come back, and nobody even know I was gone. Right? I could go to every little league game. I could go to everything, and honestly, I never went to work until I took the kids to school.
that's right.
Walked them down, had a little basketball with my son once in a while, and it was those moments of wishing them a great day, being with them, that I knew that I was a better person at work
Mhm.
when I took care of everything that made me happy. And I used to tell everybody at work, if you got something special, let me know, we'll make it happen. Right? If you've got a special event, I don't want you to say I got to work. They won't let me off. And it didn't happen often, but it meant so much to that individual because, you can't tell people to do things you're not doing.
Mhm.
It eventually comes out insincere, inauthentic, and you lose all trust. And if it's
I got a
good,
little story I want to tell when you finish. Go ahead and finish.
okay, well, before I do, let me tell Harvey's story. He's been waiting. Donald Cohen wise advice here. Find nourishment for your dreams, and as they change, seek nourishment that complements that change. Don't cast a wide net when you know the fish you want to catch. You'll need to go deep, not wide, to catch up. And if you don't think you need a lot, you don't got to overdo a lot.
Mhm.
Go to a grocery store, get what you're going to eat this week, and be done with it. But don't worry about next week. Don't worry about they're going to run out of it. That's everybody's like, better grab it, it'll be gone. Well, there'll be something else. There always is.
Right.
Leslie Fowler's advice on time management is fantastic. Really resonates with me. Saying no is hard, but valuable. Beverly, you're 100% dead on, Leslie. I cut so much time online. I don't drive to the office, no parking, no
Mhm.
cleaners, none of that.
Yeah.
But today, time blocking is imperative, and you can use free calendars, links for calls, valuable tips, and knowledge sharing. What works for you could probably work for other people. Why not become more efficient along the way? Yes, time disappears in the plans. And when had parties for in-home items for extra money, packing items, loading car, unloading at home, setting up, then tear down, pack up, back to you got to ask yourself, what are you working as? Right? Somebody who's loading cars, or someone who's doing what your life's passion is all about. Harvey comes back with, this is one of those shows where I'm captivated listening, so much value. Thank you to all three of you for the wonderful community here, and unsure why all mindset. It's interesting, Harvey, and I'm really.
We're wondering too.
But I'm encouraged that we're not attracting the superficial, the unserious. There's too many shows where it's everybody's saying hi to each other. No one's paying attention to the conversation. People are there to be seen and see, versus learn, versus share, versus teach. This is a circle. And I loved these 4, 5, 10-line comments because it took thought. And not only did it take thought, it took someone to type it, send it, and with the hope someone would read it and get some benefit.
Sure.
And I think that's the abundance. I agree. If you're one person by themselves is never secure, right? My security is all the people that I know love and want me to do good. And if I needed to, would be there for me. But you don't have to ask them in advance. I might get in trouble. Can you lend me $1 million? It would be more, hey, when you get there, let me know. Maybe after you just said that, probably the answer is no. But anyways,
I got 2 minutes before I got to jump on.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Right.
Let's get Leslie in for her 2
Let me
minutes.
just tell you this quick story about time
Absolutely.
management and time blocking and abundance. So when my grandkids were little, I was Uber Nana. Right? I didn't charge, but they were close, and I was going to gymnastics and pickup and right. So they're on my calendar.
Yeah.
Baseball is on my calendar, and so now all four are teenagers, and they're all driving. So Uber Nana went away. So there were no more Uber Nana time blocks, which, as Donald said, you've got to replace it with something else. Well, something wonderful happened 2 weeks ago. My eldest granddaughter checked into college, which is close to me and further from home. And it never occurred to me that Uber Nana would be resurrected. But on the first Saturday, I got a call. Nana, could you come get me from school and take me home for the weekend? Absolutely. There was a spot right there. I only do about half time. My calendar is only open in the afternoons for appointments, unless it doesn't work for you. You're in Italy or someplace, right? And Wednesday is my day off, although I'll do something like this. Usually have lunch with my brother. So Uber Nana is back, driving to NC State on the weekends, which is about a half hour away, to pick up my first granddaughter. And let me tell you, when she gets in the car, guess who gets to hear all the good stuff from the full week? She is billowing it out. I get to hear everything. Any other time, it's a grunt, right? Hi, Nana, I love you. See you later, right? But boy, when she gets in that car from college, I hear the whole 45 minutes home is everything that's happened. So make room for your families, right? And I'm jumping off with permission from Donald and
Oh,
Catherine.
you did great.
Thank you.
You deserve the time off.
Thank you.
Always
And I'll
good to
be
see
back.
you, Leslie. Take good care.
Thank you. And I'll be back to answer your questions. And I don't know how I leave. I guess I just click leave. Love you,
Yeah.
everybody. I'll be back and respond. Thank you for all the very kind comments.
Leslie,
Keep
you're
talking.
amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
What a gem.
yeah, wasn't that great? Sure. Gets this whole burst of energy coming through from the get-go. And it really, I think, supports one's, and I'm sure ours, abundance thoughts based on having people like Leslie share how many different perspectives and insights one can have to measure, to quantify, qualify, to say, is this now my abundance formula? When did I check it last? What's part of it? And how do we include it? But let's just finish up with these great comments, and we'll get back for the last 6-7 minutes. Self-care is something many never got shown or taught. Growing up on farm with many things pulling at time, it was a different world, and it's a different world today, and it'll be a different world tomorrow. And you need to adjust and respond to it, but get in front of it. Be on the right side of change, not dragging legacy into the future, I think is important. So I learned only, it saddened me, not more is taught all these years later, because that, without you, there is nobody else. great discussion this morning. So many need words to allow. And I appreciate that, Linda, because we're trying to get deeper, more meaningful. This is not about being popular. This is about having value,
Yeah.
right? Because popularity is based on the winds of change. Some of this is evergreen. Leslie Flowers, I like the expression vehicle to serve. Some good ideas for props as a car lover. Ashif is here. Ashif's one of the best. All just got back into the grid. It was quite peaceful out there. You know, abundance is freedom. It is silence at times.
Yeah.
You have Justin Campbell at work-life balance means. Thank you, Harvey. Wonderful friend too. We know people have seen or dealt with health issues, mental health issues, more now. Finding ways to help and cope with life and health is important. And, you know, little pieces, little takeaways from here, programs like this keep you in the game, keep you hanging on maybe another day or two to find that extra support. We know people who have seen or dealt with health. Okay. Ashif says abundance is not something that we acquire. It's something that we tune into. So that was Wayne Dyer. Got the opportunity to see him so many times when he came to Denver. I aspire to inspire. Just 5 minutes of creativity can unlock an abundance of openness and richness within. So well said, Natalie. So we've got a few minutes left. Catherine, where are you now with abundance?
Well, it's so fun because we learn from everyone. We learn from ourselves. We learn from all of our interactions and our relationships. And it was great that Leslie was talking about being Umerdana, right? And so my grandkids call me Cece. And yesterday I had the opportunity to spend a very abundant day with my granddaughter, Etta, who is 6.5. And gosh, we had fun, right? And we didn't do any, it was just living life, right? And doing some of these creative things, but actually being intentional about how we're going to spend our day, because we had one day yesterday, right? And so what was so interesting about that, because I work with my grandchildren in regard to intention and the mind garden and what thought seeds are you planting. And it was so funny because Etta wanted to get in touch with her friend. What was her name? And so it was really interesting because she said, well, I don't know how to get in touch with her right now. And I said, well, maybe your mom can help you, make a plan for tomorrow. She says, well, but Cece, we only have this week and it's Tuesday already.
Well, that's what's so beautiful about innocence,
right?
Is you're dealing with unfettered feelings and thoughts that haven't had the chance to get impacted. And my grandson, who is 10, we see each other 2-3 times a week because we're so close and we want to, but he shared that for the last 3 weeks he's seen every one of these shows every day.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and while he was at summer vacation he could watch it, and now he watches it as soon as he gets back from school. Fun. And I thought to myself, wow, what a great opportunity to meet people like Catherine and Leslie and Beverly and Harvey and on a regular basis before you have to unlearn things to learn the right things. Right. Where you can already start with an awareness, an expansion of your mind to say, wow, I didn't know an abundance meant this to these people. Right. And I think we should all return to innocence and be childlike in our ability to look at things with fresh eyes, new hope, because it's a big world. You're one person. You can create the best small world and fit into it. You don't have to wait for the world to change. You can change your world. And if everybody changed their world in a good way, the whole world would then change because the people are changing. And find the change within yourself, because that's the change you can make right now. And if you're unhappy, that tells you something,
Well,
right?
dissatisfaction is a fabulous, catalyst for making a change, right?
If you're sensitive to it. Some people have lived an uncomfortable life of comfort or vice versa and found a way to survive but not thrive. Natalie says,
Mhm.
thank you for this beautiful community or guests for the abundance of day and meaning topics. So happy to have you back. Look forward to having you back on the show, Natalie. That'd be great. And that's what's so heartwarming and worthwhile about this show is it really goes inside and stokes your furnace.
Mhm.
It takes things that you're really into and makes them more front and center, top of mind. And those are the things, if you add to what's already working, what's already valuable and powerful for you, it'll take up the room from the things that aren't working as much. Happy, but as happy as you can be. Don't stop there. If you're having fun, add some laughter, add some smiles, because that is the response you can't hide when you're coming from abundance, right? How many people, they win a lottery and they can't stop jumping up and down and screaming? They always had that ability. It just took $20 million to get it out. Why can't you do it with a pair of shoelaces that just fit your shoes when you put them on? Doesn't keep you in suspense. But anyways, with that, we're almost, well, we're there. Catherine, I can't thank you enough. Final words and thoughts for the audience.
No, I just want to say thank you, Don. And I really appreciate the opportunity. And what's fabulous is what comes to mind right now is the abundance of opportunities that you're providing for so many of us to be able to have these conversations and get to know each other. And what a beautiful thing. And thank you.
Well, thank you, because everybody's a brick in this wonderful wall that we're building, or castle, or whatever you want to characterize it as.
Yeah.
And we learn so much from each other when we're learning together and
Yeah.
with each other, because you can't but take away wonderful takeaways from Catherine, from Leslie, not only their words, but their energy and the way they project it, so that so many people can receive it and then enjoy it. And why not all leverage each other to higher levels of success and happiness and be abundant? So with that, thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have Kelly on. Can't wait to catch up with Kelly. And then Friday, we have we have Zev Halpern, who's a new person, and Zev's coming on. Next week, we've got 3 new people. It's just really starting to build. So thank you all so much for making this such a wonderful effort of joy.